We are in the middle of a global climate crisis. Can trade help us get out of it?
The answer is yes. Throughout this video, we will explain to you how small businesses are the world's secret weapon to help us mitigate climate change.
Small businesses are everywhere. They are your local bakeries, grocery stores, boutiques, or your go-to barber. They can also be small-scale factories or e-commerce brands that are part of a larger global supply chain. They seem small individually, but together they're much bigger than you might think. Small businesses make up around 90% of all companies in the world, and they create 60 to 70% of all jobs. Given that, perhaps it's no surprise that they also generate 50% of global greenhouse emissions. But when properly supported, they can bring that number down significantly. Now, before we lay out the plan to reduce small business carbon emissions, it's important to tackle the idea that imports always have a higher carbon footprint. Because for all of this to work, we need to reassure small businesses in exporting countries that they are really part of the solution if they adopt sustainable practices.
Let me explain why imports can have a lower carbon footprint, assuming the emissions from the production site remain constant. The only variable left is transport emissions. Most transport emissions come from road vehicles, not maritime shipping. According to the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, maritime freight shipping emits about 2 grams of CO2 equivalent per ton over a kilometer, while for road trucking, it averages around 150 grams of CO2. As of 2018, shipping's carbon intensity has already jumped by 28% compared to 2008, and the International Maritime Organization is planning to lead efforts to cut maritime emissions in half by 2050. In short, imported products made through low-carbon processes and shipped by sea may be more climate-friendly than domestically produced. With that being said, let's see how exactly can we reduce emissions by small businesses.
We call it trade and sustainability, and we work with thousands of small businesses to achieve it. Here I will only give you a few examples. In 2019, we worked with 56 small businesses from Ethiopia, Jordan, Kenya, Peru, and Vietnam to help them cut their carbon emissions. Here are some of the things we did. Installing LED bulbs, upgrading heating machines to those of higher efficiency grades, and replacing fossil fuel with solar panels where applicable. The results? On average, each business reduced 15 tons of CO2 equivalent emissions per year, or the equivalent of an average car emission for 3 years. We also help businesses comply with emerging climate regulations and sustainability standards, such as EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or CBAM, and the EU Deforestation Regulation, or EUDR. Very soon, businesses will have to comply to access these markets and grow their exports. We are currently working with Pakistan's Ministry of Commerce to assess the impact of CBAM on the country's businesses. We are also providing recommendations to the ministry and local chambers of commerce on decarbonizing the economy, so they can make the right moves to help small businesses. On EUDR, we developed a series of handbooks for small businesses to help them understand and comply with the regulation, so they don't miss out. We will link them in the description down below.
In many developing countries, exporting can face slowdowns due to lengthy customs that can take up a lot of time and resources. Simplifying this significantly reduces emissions. We did this in Sri Lanka by digitalizing all paper-based procedures of issuing certificates of origin, cutting processes time by 93% and saving up to 31.5 million pages of paper, which is around 3,800 trees. These are not numbers coming out of thin air. We know that Sri Lanka issues around 45,000 certificates per year, and depending on the application, some can be 700 pages long.
Digital technologies can also reduce transportation-related carbon emissions. A company's supply chain produces, on average, 5.5 times as much greenhouse gases as its own operations. But digital supply chain technologies can help improve the coordination of transportation. For example, truck schedules, which, if you remember from earlier, is a big contributor to transportation emissions.
Let's look at the Kizilkiya border checkpoint in Kyrgyzstan, bordering Uzbekistan. The average queuing time for a truck to reach customs on a busy day is about 60 hours, with approximately 500 trucks in the queue. And if we do a quick estimation, This results in around 135 tons of CO2 emissions, not to mention the related costs, which are estimated at $2 million per day. Currently, we are piloting a project in Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan to implement an electronic border queue management system, which would allow custom authorities send out updates on the number and type of shipments they need to clear on a given date. This way, truckers can register in advance and get a number and plan their itinerary accordingly. We expect the system to remove the long queues and reduce emissions significantly in the upcoming years.
This is only a snapshot of what we're doing to help small businesses and governments with climate action in the area of trade. We are the United Nations Small Business Agency, and we believe that it's time to bring green trade to the forefront of climate discussions. For countries to commit to ambitious plans and effective actions, small businesses must be included.
I hope we've managed to convincingly answer the question, can trade help us get out of the climate crisis? Of course, what we've covered today has barely scratched the surface of the overall role that small businesses and trade play in climate change mitigation. Before we end this video, we want you to take this message away. We must support small businesses in building climate resilience.
They are the most vulnerable during climate disasters, and if we stand by and allow them to be destroyed, aside from the fact that they provide for millions of families, rebuilding them would result in far more carbon emissions than if we start helping them with prevention now.